Have you ever wondered why your prayers sometimes feel like they hit the ceiling and go no further? Why the Bible can feel like just words on a page, or why church becomes routine instead of renewal? The truth is, God has not stopped speaking, but many of us have unknowingly built invisible walls that block His voice. In today's world, the distractions are louder than ever. Our phones buzz, our schedules overflow, and our hearts carry unhealed wounds. We mistake busyness for devotion, and outside voices for wisdom. But deep down, something is missing. Here is the good news. Those barriers are not permanent. They can be broken. Starting right now, you will discover 7 hidden obstacles that silence God's voice, and more importantly, the steps to broken. Tear them down. Stay with me, because one of these may be the reason you have not heard God clearly in years. Habit 1. Digital noise addiction. We live in a world that never stops talking. Phones vibrate with endless notifications, videos, autoplay. Before we can breathe, and silence has become almost uncomfortable. The problem is that God does not compete with the constant noise. He speaks in stillness and whispers. If your mind is always filled with alerts and chatter, there is no space left to hear His direction. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you sat in complete silence for 10 minutes without reaching for your phone? The challenge is simple. Begin with a daily practice of quiet. Turn everything off, sit in silence, and notice how restless you feel. That restlessness reveals how much you need God's presence more than constant stimulation. Habit 2. Carrying unhealed wounds. Many people believe they have moved on from the hurts of the past, yet the pain still lingers quietly inside. Unforgiveness is like a hidden weight that blocks the flow of God's voice. It is not only about forgiving others, but also forgiving yourself. Too often believers live with secret shame, replaying old mistakes as if they define the present. This silent poison keeps the heart trapped in yesterday, making it impossible to hear what God is saying today. Healing begins with recognition. Write down the names of people you still struggle to forgive, and include your own name. Pray over each one, not because they deserve it, but because your freedom depends on it. Only then can your heart finally open to receive God's peace. Habit 3. Faith on autopilot. It is possible to live as a believer while your heart remains half asleep. You attend church, sing the songs, say a quick prayer, and swipe away a verse notification, yet nothing truly changes inside. This is faith on autopilot, a routine without fire. When your relationship with God becomes a checklist, you slowly grow lukewarm and lose the passion that once stirred your soul. True faith is never meant to be mechanical. It is alive and searching. The next time you pray, stop rushing through the words. Ask God what He wants to teach you today, and then wait quietly for the answer. A heart that engages deeply begins to hear His voice, with clarity and direction. Habit 4. Living in fear instead of faith. Fear is one of the strongest barriers that silences God's voice. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of stepping into the unknown. These quiet chains do not just create anxiety, they drown out the courage needed to follow God's direction. When fear dominates every decision, you place circumstances above His promises. The truth is, faith and fear cannot sit on the same throne. If you want to hear clearly, you must choose to trust His character more than your worries. Begin by naming your greatest fear and bringing it to God in prayer. Do not just ask for comfort. Ask Him what He wants you to do with that fear. Often, the answer you seek is hidden on the other side of courage. Habit 5. Trusting human wisdom first. In moments of confusion, many turn first to search engines, friends, or social media, hoping for quick answers. The problem is that when human voices come before God's voice, we train our hearts to believe that divine wisdom is secondary. This habit slowly replaces trust with pride, thinking we know better than the one who created us. Scripture reminds us that if anyone lacks wisdom, they should ask God, who gives generously. Yet, too often, He becomes the last resort instead of the first guide. Change begins with a simple shift. Before you type or mention it, question online, or call a friend, pause and pray. Make God your primary counselor. Watch how His direction becomes clearer when He is truly placed first. Habit 6. Worshipping busyness instead of God. Modern life often celebrates a full calendar as proof of success, but constant activity can be a form of avoidance. When every hour is filled with tasks and deadlines, there is no room left to rest in God's presence. Busyness becomes an idol that wears you down, while keeping you from hearing His whisper. Jesus himself stepped away from the crowds to pray, even though his mission was urgent. If he created space for silence, how much more do we need it? The truth is, you are not too busy, you are too distracted. Choose to schedule margin and you're out. 2 week. Treat that time with God as the most important appointment, because it is. In stillness, your heart finally becomes available. Habit 7. Walking alone without community. Faith was never designed to grow in isolation. When you try to walk the journey of belief entirely by yourself, you lose one of the main ways God speaks through the encouragement and correction of others. Community is more than friendship. It is spiritual accountability that keeps you awake when you feel tired and steady when you feel shaken. Many believers think silence with God means shutting out everyone else, but solitude is not the same as isolation. Scripture shows that God often uses people to confirm his direction and strengthen faith. The step forward is clear. Find a small group, or the trusted companion to share your walk. Together you create space where God's voice is echoed and reinforced. You have now seen the 7 barriers that often silence God's voice, and the steps to begin breaking them down. But knowledge alone will not bring change. God, he is inviting you to act now, not later. His call is simple. Lay aside distraction, release unforgiveness, wake up your faith, trust him above fear, seek his wisdom. First, create space in your days and walk with others who strengthen your spirit. Choice is in your hands. Do not let these truths remain only words. Take one step today, even if it feels small. Cancel a task to spend time with him. Forgive someone. Write down your fear and pray over it. God is speaking. Will you listen and respond today?